Hi everybody. So tonight I am here to wrap up my reading journey for Reese's book club. Let me preface this by saying the only Reese's book club book for this year I haven't read yet is When We Were Jaguars. So I will be reviewing that video separately from this tier ranking and also ranking it separately. So I got these tier listing headings from Gabby Reads, and they are based on Schitt's Creek quotes. The first tier is simply the best, and this book is about a Russian. First of all, this book is by the same author that wrote Beasts of a Little Land. She's a Korean-born author, and this book is about a Russian ballerina who ends up making a mistake and having to leave ballet, and she ends up getting drunk or addicted to drugs, and I really love this author's writing. It really immerses you. Like, when I read Beasts of a Little Land, it really immersed me in a place I've never been to, which is Korea. And then with this book, it immersed me in her world of Russian ballet and the drug addiction that she gets involved in. The next book is Looking for Smoke, which was the YA pick for October. The reason why I liked this book was because it introduced me more to the Native American culture, because I don't really read a lot of books that are set in that culture. This is set on in a Native American reservation, I think in Oregon or Oklahoma or somewhere like that, and it's 4 kids that are in the center of this murder mystery, and they're trying to solve a murder on the reservation. And I loved all the twists and turns in it. The next book in this tier is The Cliffs by J. Courtney Sullivan. This is a murder mystery that is set in coastal Maine, and it's about people who are cleaning out their parents' house after they pass away, and they are trying to also solve a mystery in their neighborhood that is centered around a haunted house. And I just love the atmosphere of this book because it's set in Maine. And I also like the atmosphere of the spooky house they're trying to solve the mystery in. The next book is 12th Night, which is by Alexis Foulmouth. I don't think I'm pronouncing the last name right, but this is basically Olivia Blake, who wrote Masters of Death and A One for My Enemy and Atlas 6 under a different pen name. So out of all of the books by her that I read this year, 12th Night was my favorite. And this is basically a modern retelling of William Shakespeare's 12th Night, and it's about mistaken identities and people who are putting on a play in a high school or a middle school, and I just really love that reimagining of 12th Night. The next tier is I Love That Journey for Me. The first book in this tier is Anita DeMonte Laughs Last, and this is a dual POV book that is focused on the first part is about a actress in the 1970s who gets murdered, and then the second POV is a college student in 2019 who is trying to solve the murder mystery of this singer and how the paths interconnect between the two POVs. And I really liked this story a lot. I thought it was really interesting. The next book I want to talk about is Society of Lies. This was the thriller pick by Laura Ling Brown for October. me and Reese Witherspoon, we don't exactly jive on our picks for thrillers, because when I did the cumulative list from past years, most of the thrillers that she picked, okay, well, one ended up in I Love That Journey for me. That was Mother-Daughter Murder Night. And the other one, Wrong Place, Wrong Time, ended up in Ill David, which is DNF's. And for this year's picks, Society of Lies, I really love the dark academia setting. It's set at a college in Connecticut that is similar to Yale, where Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo is set, but it's not Yale, but it's a school in the same general vicinity. And this is another dual POV story. The first POV is this girl named Maya, who's in college, and then it flashes 10 years in the future, and her sister Naomi is now at this college, and she is the victim of a murder. So Maya goes to the college to help solve her sister's murder, and there were so many twists and turns, and I was kept guessing the whole time, and I really loved it. With Mother-Daughter Murder Night, which is on the cumulative ranking from the backlist, that was I think that was the October pick in like 2017, and it's about 3 generations of women, a mother, a grandmother, and a daughter, who are tasked with solving a murder in their town. And it's just, I love how they bond together and solve the murder, and also the twists and turns. I don't like to spoil thrillers for people in case they want to read them later. The next category is Kind Wishes, Warmest Regards. The first book in this tier is A Comfort of Crows. This is an essay collection that was written by Reese Witherspoon's high school English teacher, Margaret Rankle, and it's a series of essays about slowing down and learning to appreciate your family and living in the moment. And I really enjoyed the messages that these essays sent, and I look forward to reading this again. The next book in this tier is How to End a Love Story. So I have read this book twice, and the second time I read it, I enjoyed it a lot more, and my rating changed. So this book is about a screenwriter, for a scriptwriter for a movie. Her name is Helen, and then she meets with the screenwriter for the movie. His name is Grant, and they are tied together because her sister, Michelle, was killed 10 years ago, and Grant was the person who accidentally hit her with his car because she was trying to commit suicide, basically. And I didn't like that aspect of their relationship, how they were bonded by their trauma, but I love the continued conversation of grief in this book, especially with Helen and her parents and how they grieve her sister's death. So I just thought that was really beautiful. And this author, Yu Lin Huang, is the screenwriter for the Beach Read movie, which is coming out next year. I don't know a release date for that yet, but Haley Pham was the first person to talk about this on her YouTube channel, and I wish she would tell me when the movie is being released or if she knows anything, because I'm really anxious to know. The next book in this tier is Redwood Court. So I liked this book, but it made me feel old because it's a historical fiction set in the 90s. that's set in the South, and it's about a girl who's trying to learn about her family history and piece it together. And her family was like part of slave trade in the South in the early part of history. So I like the writing in this book and I like the scenery, but it's just that the fact that this is a historical fiction set in the 1990s just seems weird to me, because that's the generation I grew up in, and it's hard to believe that that time period is now considered a time period where historical fiction can be written in. The next book I want to talk about is Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell. I have not been able to really connect very well to any of the characters in Rainbow Rowell's books. I have read 2 of her YA books, Eleanor and Park and Fangirl. I couldn't get through either. And I mean, I had a hard time connecting to the characters in Slow Dance too. The writing is good. I really loved the female main characters' children, Junie and Gus, who are 5 and 3. They're so adorable and so funny, and their scenes saved the book for me, because the Slow Dance is about... It's a second chance romance between Carrie and Shiloh, who meet in high school and then reconnect when they are in their late 20s, early 30s, and these characters are supposed to be adults, but they acted like they were still in their teenagers, and it really was irritating. And with the other books that I have read by Rainbow Rowell, with Eleanor and Park, I just couldn't connect to the relationship, and also it was pretty racist because they said some pretty mean things about the Asian character, and it reminded me of how mean they were to the Asian character in the 80s movie Pretty in Pink. And then in Fangirl, I felt like the fan fiction chapters for the fan fiction the lead character was writing in this book should have been like at the end of the book instead of interdispersed between the chapters, because I feel like putting the fan fiction chapters in between the narrative of the book interrupted the flow and the pacing. But I have also been reading the graphic novels of Fangirl, and I really find those books to be easier to digest for me. Like, I still don't really like the romance between Kath and Levi. I just find their relationship really hard to believe for some reason. But the good thing about the graphic novels for Fangirl is that the fanfiction chapters that Kath is writing have illustrations to them, so it is very cohesive in her working on her writing project. And basically the fan fiction that she is writing is called Simon Snow, which is basically this universe's version of the Harry Potter books by J.K. Rowling. The final tier in this tier list is Ew David. This ranking consists of this ranking consists of books that were DNFs and overall very disappointing. The first book in this book was the first book in this tier was First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This was the thriller pick. That was the pick for January. And I did not like this book. Is about a spy, and it's kind of like 007 James Bond type thing, although it's a female spy, and I guess I'm not really into those type of things, and that's why I had trouble connecting to this character story. She's like a person that has a secret identity, and I just had a hard time following the plot, so that's why I DNF'd it. The most fun we ever had. I tried to read this book twice, but I just had a really hard time connecting to the characters. This book is by Claire Lombardo, and it's basically a modern retelling of Little Women. But the interesting thing about this book in comparison to Little Women is that you also get tidbits of the relationship between the parents, which you don't see in Little Women because Mr. March is away at war. So I liked that part where, like, the past POV chapters are about the parents and how they met and how they build their relationship. And as an older sibling, as an older sister, I connected to the main female character, who's the oldest daughter in this book. And so I had to stop reading this book 2 times in a row because I just had trouble connecting to the characters. The final book in this tier is called The Unwedding by Ali Condi. This is a thriller mystery about a girl named Ellery who is going through a divorce, and she ends up crashing somebody's wedding, and there's a murder at the wedding, and her and 2 of her friends are like trying to get involved and trying to solve the murder. And I just had to stop reading this book because there were too many conflicting point of views, and there were also too many side characters, which made the plot super confusing. Kind of like Bad Summer People by Emma Rosenblum. That's another murder mystery book that I had to DNF that was not picked by Reese's Book Club that I read this year that has a very similar plot to The Unwedding. So, if you want to go to Gabby's channel to watch her playlist of Reese's Book Club book videos, feel free to check them out to see if our opinions match on these books. I know for certain books they certainly don't, because, like, for example, she really loved The Most Fun We Ever Had, and I didn't. And she also didn't really like Society of Lies very much, and I did. I really enjoyed it, as I said. So I can't wait to see what book she picks for Reese Witherspoon picks for her book club pick for January. She's going to be announcing that on Tuesday, and I can't wait to read it. And thank you very much.